Hi, this is Mike McWilliams. Welcome to Upstairs to the Right Music Channel. Tonight, I'd like to have a little discussion about how to make money in the modern music business as it stands right now. There are two phrases that I want to use in this discussion. The first phrase is a jack of all trades, a master of none. The second phrase is it takes money to make money. That first phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, I like to change to a jack of all trades, a master of all. Because in all honesty, in order to make money in this current music environment, you're really going to have to learn how to be a jack of all trades. Now, what do I mean by that? I do want to preface this whole thing with saying that the good luck part is not good luck with that, it's good luck. And I'll unpack that for you and show you what I mean. I don't want to get into the discussion now. I'm going to save it maybe when I get 100 subscribers to tell a more detailed story of my music career. But let's just go through the outline of it. When I was 16, I got a very rudimentary publishing deal. They stuck us in a room with Tascam Porter Studios. If you don't know what that was, it was a cassette-based recording medium that offered you 4 tracks. There were certain tricks that you could do to split those tracks and overdubs and things that you could do, but basically you had 4 tracks, and you had to make that work. When you consider the fact that the Beatles recorded most of their albums on 4 tracks, it wasn't until, by the way, the multi-track system was invented by Les Paul, the famous guitarist, a genius man. You really had to be very concise about what you were putting to tape. It was a Taskmaster. You know, I always talk about Taskmasters in these videos, and that Porter Studio probably was the best Taskmaster I had in regards of learning how to record. So from that situation, and they gave us a little CZ101, some keyboard or something like that. It's you know, not a very significant setup, but you were expected to write, and you were expected to write, to produce as well, and to engineer to a slight extent. And so that was a great opportunity for me. It didn't last very long, but it did give me a good introduction into professional songwriting and engineering, producing. Fast forward to my college days at Cal State Northridge. I wasn't in the music department, but I did take classes in the music department, and it allowed me to have access to the recording equipment studios that they had at that time on campus. It's there that I learned about EQing, compression, limiting, what patch bay was. I can't remember. MIDI was in its infancy at that time, but I did learn how to hook two keyboards up via MIDI. I learned a lot of skills. I didn't learn them in a classroom situation. I learned them because in my free time, that's where I was. I was just, hey man, I got this opportunity to learn this stuff. Let me get on this. Let me take this opportunity and make the most of it. And that's another one of my themes that you're going to find is taking those opportunities and running with them. And so further along after college, I got introduced through my good friend Jock Richmond to a guy named Reggie Andrews, who ran a place called the SCU, the South Central Unit. South Central Unit was Reggie's bungalows that he had in LA, that he had converted one of them into a recording studio. And out of the just sheer kindness and love of music, Reggie Andrews, by the way, is a very well-known writer and producer. Let It Whip by the Dazz Band was written and produced by Reggie, just to get a reference for who he is. He allowed us to come in and learn about songwriting, music production, music engineering, and a host of and music business. Most important one, learning about the business end of things. And so, because I did well there, I was, again, that was my thing. I didn't sleep. You know, I was always in there writing, and every Friday he would say, okay, we'd have a group of all the guys that would come in, you know, the producers, and Reggie would say, let me hear what you got. And you either got cut or, you know, by the other producers, because believe me, they tell you in a heartbeat, or, you know, you knew you were on to something too. So that was good. Again, here we go with this luck, the good fortune of being in that environment, and I'll never forget it. It stayed with me all my life, and I'm eternally thankful for that opportunity. Reggie then introduced me to a gentleman at Motown Records called Steve McKeever. Steve brought me in and gave me the opportunity to do a remix for a Motown group at the time called Soul Tree, and also Rosie Gaines. Rosie Gaines played with Prince and his band. She was a keyboard player, singer. She's the woman singing the song Diamonds and Pearls with Prince. That's Rosie Gaines. So I got a chance to do a bunch of remixes for Motown, and that taught me another thing. It put me in the big studios. It put me in a situation where we had our SSL boards. We had our 24-track machines. We had 2-track mix-down machines, and learning about sync tones. Because back then you had to lay down a sync tone to the tape in order to sync up to other pieces of equipment. It was before everybody was doing anything in the box, as they say these days. However, I did at that time start using a very early version of Pro Tools, and we would cut the tracks on the ADATs or on the 24 tracks and transfer that to 24 tracks, but we would take the vocal remixes came to us on Pro Tools so we could do the syncing up. And so I learned a very early version of Pro Tools. These opportunities, I understand, were good luck. Again, there's that good luck. I was in the right place at the right time, and I was willing to learn quickly, because, you know, it's a professional environment, or at least fake it till you make it, we say sometimes. But yeah, I didn't get myself into debt by going to music school. I didn't get myself in debt by going to engineering school. A lot of cats these days, they're spending $200,000, $400,000, I guess, to go to engineering school, and they're just coming out and being interns. Now, an intern job when I was so as a result of that, I got an opportunity to intern at Babyface's studio, the producer Babyface's studio Yab Yum in LA. And I think they changed it in Brandon's Way, but when I first started working there, it was called Yab Yum. And I have to say that was something that only could have happened because of the things that happened to me before. So at Babyface's studio, I was an intern. I was second engineering when I could. I was first engineering in the small rooms, the ADAT rooms and the Pro Tool rooms, for some of the developing artists, and that in itself came about because of the stuff that I had done prior to that. So what we're seeing here is my career, through a series of good fortune, was progressing and building upon the things that I had learned prior to that. and I didn't have I didn't have a lot of debt. I didn't have student loans, so I could live that kind of. And I was from LA too, so I was already there. You know, a lot of people, they come from all over the country to go to LA to do those things. I was always, you know, I was practically, actually I was born in Northern California, but we moved to LA when I was 2. So for all intents and purposes, I grew up in LA. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that you have to get yourself out there, making your own door, as my mom used to say. My mother still to this day says to me, you got to make your own way. You got to make your own door. So there was that, the internships. Okay, so the next statement, it takes money to make money. I don't even know if you could duplicate the string of events that led me to have accumulated all these necessary skills that you quite frankly needed if you were going to have any success, even, you know, back in that time in the music industry. I know a lot of people go to engineering school, they assess a lot of debt, they take on a lot of debt in order to do that, and then when they get out, they're back to where I was at without the debt, as an unpaid intern at a you know, a recording company, recording studio. The taking money and you may not make any money part definitely plays out in that scenario, because a lot of guys come, as I just said, I don't want to repeat myself, but guys and girls come out of engineering school and they have to fight to get these internships that don't pay. And then it becomes, you know, kind of like a test of will. Like, how long can I, you know, eat Campbell's soup for dinner, you know, every night, you know, cold can soup at that, until I quote unquote make it or start getting paid to engineer sessions. And meanwhile, you've got to pay back that student debt. Am I putting down engineering schools? No, not at all. Again, like I said, for the third time, that set of circumstances that I learned engineering in, I don't know if you could duplicate that these days. I know at the time it wasn't a conscious thing like, oh, I'm going to do this and it's going to lead to this and then I'll be able to do that. No, I just put myself in the environments that enabled me to have those opportunities. And then, you know, the luck played its role. I was in the right place at the right time. I didn't have it set in my mind to make money necessarily. You know, I was happy as long as I paid my rent and, you know, I could, you know, take a girl out on a date and, you know, and not just McDonald's. I could actually, you know, show her a good time. And even that didn't even happen a lot. I mean, I used the money that I made from the remixes. I think they paid about $2,000-3,000, which I had to split with Reggie, which is only fair because I had the maturity at that time. I was like, well, why don't I get the whole check? Well, no, because Reggie put me in an environment where I could learn the skills that got me the remixes. So it's paying him back. See, I could pay him back in actual money. I could go out there and represent, do the job, get the job done, get paid for it, and then put that money to use back at SCU. So I didn't mind that at all. The money that I could retain from that, I bought a used car, you know. I'm pretty good at fixing cars, so it wasn't the greatest car. It was a Suzuki Samurai. Which is, you know, a mini Jeep that they had back in the day, but it was easy to work on. I could take that thing apart and put it back together again, so it was ideal. And it only cost, you could get a used car for you know, $1,500, $2,000 back then. That was pretty decent. So I didn't get into it necessarily thinking I'm going to enrich myself. I thought about the career. I thought about the learning aspects. I thought about the opportunity of being there, just being in the studio. I remember one day when I was working at Yab Yum as an intern, Diana Ross was coming to record an album. And they had wanted to tidy up the place, so I was on the I was actually scrubbing the steps. They gave me a bucket, some water, and some soap, and there I am on my knees, and I'm scrubbing the steps. And Babyface came in and literally whistling a tune. Comes in, steps over my bucket, continues up the steps while I'm sitting there scrubbing his floors. Not a hello, not a how you doing, nothing, And that's okay, but, you gotta dig deep in yourself. You gotta put your pride aside. You gotta say to yourself, yeah, I think I'm as good of a writer, or I'm a writer in the same vein. I think that I could do that. I have confidence in myself, yet here I am scrubbing the floors. Well, I didn't have a lot of ego at that point to bruise. I was lucky to be there, I thought, because hey, it's Babyface. Yeah, he just stepped over my wash bucket. That's pretty much what I thought. But I was there, and I think that if you let ego and pride and the desire to enrich yourself, you're not going to make it very far. Not even back then. You're certainly not going to make it these days. So here comes my first bit of advice out of this, of how to make money, because that's what you came here for. How to make money these days in the music industry. I told all that background story to make this point, is that you're not. Unless you're there in the moment, in the opportunity to possibly get something that could get you paid. To be in that moment, to be in that environment where you could have that opportunity, you gotta have a lot of skill sets. I could engineer, I could produce, I played several instruments, I could write, I could tear things apart and put them back together again. I had a lot of skill sets. And if you want to make music money, you want to make money in this music business these days, then you need to take on as many of these skills as possible. Let's fast forward to when I released my first solo album in 2012, The Sower. I had the help of my co-producer with the album, Keigo Mizutani, excellent Japanese guitarist, a good friend of mine. He helped me produce that record in the sense that he acted as a true producer. He facilitated, he introduced me to other musicians that I wanted in order to complete that project. Now, I played about 80% of the instruments on that record, and wrote everything. I did, however, on certain tracks like Strolling in the Moonlight, I wanted to do that kind of live, so we did that live, and I did some overdubs later, and therefore I needed other musicians to play. Really, I had to do everything. I couldn't rely on just Keigo to do everything. I had to have the skill sets in order to know how to do certain things, to do a live record in a room, how to mic the room, how to get the best sound to tape, or in that case, to Pro Tools as possible. And again, that's because of all the preceding things that happened. So I know it's kind of a cop-out to say that you're not going to make any money unless you are a jack of all trades, but that's just the reality. with the Sower, not only did I write it, produce it, engineer it, mix it, master it, but I also shot all the videos for it as well. Let's see. Oh well, actually, so the second album for that. So the second album that I did, on that album, solo album that I did, on that album, The Deep End, when it came, I played almost all the instruments on that and wrote all the songs, blah 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 blah, and when it came time to do videos for it, I had to shoot the videos. Now, I never had any experience editing video in my life. That was just a skill set that I didn't have. But if I wanted to produce videos for that album, I didn't have the budget to. Well, I did, but I didn't want to. I didn't want it to put money into something like that with no guarantee that there was going to be return. It was cheaper for me to go out and buy the editing software and an iPad to shoot it on and do it myself. So that's exactly what I did. I bought some editing software. I shot those videos on my iPad. I edited them on that editing software. I think it was the editing software that comes with your Mac. Actually, I don't think until recently that I bought actual film editing software. So again, but that led to a whole nother thing that happened to me when I got the opportunity to start writing music for TV commercials. Because they would send me over the footage and I had to know how to lock that footage up and in my DAW and in order so that I could do the music. I had to have a fundamental understanding of film software and how to use it. And because of the experience of me saying, I'm not going to pay somebody else to do this, just my inherent cheapness, I'm going to learn how to do it myself, it led me to be able to, that next step where I have the blessing to be able to write music for international TV commercials. So if you want to make money in the music business, you got to get your skill sets up. The days are gone where you can just be a singer-songwriter and you can get a record deal and you can go in and somebody will produce it, somebody will engineer it for you. Somebody will shoot the videos for you. Yeah, you do that in the big when you sign up to the big companies, but man, the price that you pay for that in terms of you really don't make any money, because by the time they deduct all that from your advance, they give you advance, they deduct your advance, deduct the cost of videos, all the other stuff that they deduct from you, you really end up in the hole. You end up in the negative. So if you want to, there we go. So if you want to make money in this music business, don't dig yourself into holes. If you feel that you can go to engineering school and you can get out of there and get yourself a gig that you can pay off whatever it costs you to get, more power to you. But chances of that happening are slim to nil. Because you got 10,000 guys and gals who are graduating every year, and you got 5 jobs. So and there it gets into, it's not exactly what you know, it's who you know, which had a lot to do with my career as well. You got to get out there. You got to make your own doors. You got to make your own way, as my mother always says. You got to be your own unique brand. And let me talk about brands for a second. A brand is when you are willing to build a relationship with your customers. And my brand is unique in the sense that I'm a jack of all trades and a master, or becoming a master, of most of them. It took a number of years. It took a lot of work. but I'm able to get these television commercials. They pay very well. I'm able to be in this position where now I can do that to make my money, and then I can reinvest that into my passion of writing songs and producing and putting out albums. So you really have to be a sponge. You're really going to have to ask questions. Hey, ask the engineer, hey, what's that? What did you just do? What is that? Get some editing software and fiddle around with it. This camera, the filming these vlogs. This camera, this is the first professional camera I've ever owned in my life, and I'm learning it. If you look at the previous videos, I have focus problems sometimes in there, and I'm learning about that. I'm learning about settings on this thing. I'm learning. Okay, that's the key to this. I'm learning. I'm constantly learning. I'm not saying to myself, I'm learning social media. Guys my age, we're not as savvy as guys half our age, when it comes to social media. I have to learn that. Learning, bringing in value to your brand so that when you go out there with your brand, you're able to really do something with it. You can do a lot of different things with it. You can reach a lot of different people. Make your own way. Make your own way in life is one bit and it will lead to things that possibly will help you get paid. Really, it's a tough environment out there. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your bum. It is super hard to make a living these days. I thank God that I was born and I got into it when I did, because there was still there was a lot more opportunity then, I feel, than there is now. There's more opportunity now in the distribution and the self-publishing and distributing of your music than there existed then because of the internet. So there's kind of a trade-off. If you wanted to distribute an album back then, it really behooves you you could do it out of the trunk of your car, like Too Short and Hammer and a bunch of other guys did, that eventually led to a record deal that, of course, increased their distribution. Now you have YouTube, you've got Spotify, we'll talk about Spotify another time, because I got a bone to pick with that. You've got YouTube, you've got Instagram, you've got Twitter, you've got a lot of different ways of distributing your brand and your product out to a wider audience than I ever had growing up. So you do have those plus aspects. So I really don't want to be a negative completely through this discussion. I just want to point out the fact that really you got to make your own way. You got to, and you're not going to make you're not going to make money. One of these days, probably when I get 500 subscribers, I'm going to do the whole story, Mike McWilliams story. I'm going to go through all of it. It's going to take a bit. And then I'm going to show you receipts. I'm going to show you what my 5 solo albums that I released since 2012 until now have netted me. And it ain't great. The money that I made from the actual paying gigs that paid extremely well is what enabled me to purchase the equipment that I use in order to make those records and to make more money. And there was no guarantee also, again, that was going to happen, but because that was it's what I wanted to do. It's what drives me. It's what motivated me to get up every morning. It's my thing. I don't like that word passion, but sure, what the heck? It was my passion. And so you got to be passionate about it without thinking that you're going to become rich. You know, you really, really, really have to be a sponge. So let me end this out by saying, how can I make money in the music industry today? Good luck is what's going to, but skill sets and being in the right place is really what it's going to. And I know that's kind of vague. You know, I wish that I could give you the magic key, but there really is none, because everybody's situation is unique to themselves. I just say, in whatever situation or your situation you will find yourself in, to make the most of it. Learn everything you can. Show off everything you can. Do things without expecting to get paid for them. I mixed literally dozens of songs for free for people because they asked me to, and they couldn't afford to do it. And I said yes, but the benefit to me was as I learned, I became a better engineer, better producer, better mixer because of that work. Because I did it for free. So don't expect to get paid for everything that you do. You're not. You can't monetize everything that you do, but you have to know your worth. At some point, you got to stop saying, I'm not going to do this for free anymore. I feel as though I have these skill sets, provable skill sets. I think that I have value. I think that you need to compensate me according to the value that I know, not I feel, that I know that I'm worth in a competitive marketplace. That's your brand. That when everyone's talking about build up your brand, that's the gist of what they're really saying to you. They're saying to you that you have a quality to you that is unique from everybody else, that you feel has a value to it, and you know, there it is. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. I'm actually proud of myself. I didn't get into too many tangents and I didn't rant too much. If you like this video, please share it. Down in the comment section, you know, somebody give me a comment. Somebody tell me something, good or bad, I don't care. Give me the thumbs up on the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please take the time to subscribe to this channel. I'm putting up content every day because I'm learning how to use this camera. So I like doing it. It's kind of thrilling to me. And I'll see you next time.
Like the show? Well, show your support by subscribing and hitting the like button. See you later.